walkers, runners, and gods of the time stream. Look to your left and avoid the yellow snow. Look to your right and sign the fear book. Grab a table, conjure a chair, and join us to talk about all things the dungeon run. Full disclosure, it has been a long day. I have a 10 to 12 work day. It's my lunch break, so if you see me randomly eating, don't judge. Don't judge. In today's watch party, we're going to be talking about the 2 episodes post Oldwatch. The one where they get their level 10 powers, as well as when they first meet Human Mama. And I have a very fun council today, and I'm very excited to dive into all things the dungeon run with them. Joining me on today's council first is a really good friend of mine. She is known by the watchers of the community as the Goddess of Balance. She is a strong member of Force of Evil. She's been present. She's been known. Everybody, welcome once again to the watch party, Grimfated.
Hey.
So glad you could join us today. Next we have, I know you guys miss her. I always talk to her, so I don't really get to miss her very much. Another good friend of mine. She's also a very strong member of Team Force of Evil. She's very opinionated. She is wonderful. She does a lot of stuff for this community. Everybody, welcome back the Raven Queen, aka my girl Renee.
I don't miss you either, I guess.
I feel you and I talk way too much about the show sometimes. Which is good. I'm not complaining.
We love it. Love it.
And I'm very excited for the last member to join us on the council today. New and the first time joining us on the watch party. This individual is, I believe, a member of Force of Good. They're very insightful, and I'm so excited they agreed to join today. And the most important part, I think, that they want us to know is they're very concerned. Everybody, yes. Welcome to the watch party, a concerned citizen of AConcernedCitizenofAin.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So as I stated, kind of poorly in my intro, we're going to be talking about the first 2 episodes post Oldwatch, and I know everybody has a lot of opinions. So before we dive into it, I'm going to go back to my old watch party ways and give a quick little my synopsis and my rating, and then you guys can give me opening thoughts, and then we'll just dive into it. I overall did enjoy this episode. I thought that finding out what level 10 stuff they had was really cool. The battle, though, in this level, I loved. Even though it wasn't necessarily a major boss battle or anything, the encounter was freaking awesome. I really enjoyed it, and it's one of my top 5, to be honest with you. I really thought it was good and solid. And then, of course, the cliffhanger of Human Mama was pretty great. I enjoyed even some of the conversations that we're going to dive into that the party had at their campfire. I will say, though, there's just one giant elephant that sometimes blocked my view from really enjoying this episode at times, and we're going to dive into it. I felt like there was a Oldwatch 0.5 episode we were missing, and we're going to dive into that. I just missed a lot of healing, I suppose. Either way, this was an overall very good episode, and I think that it's better than what we've seen in a while. I'm giving this episode a solid 7 out of 10 malls. It was pretty good. Opening thoughts, Renee.
Renee, I also would agree. I thought standalone, this one was pretty good. It had a lot of really good combos like we discussed. I do also feel like we were missing a transitional bit from Oldwatch to here. There was just something missing, some kind of disconnect. And I mean, if I'm the only one, that's cool, but I don't think that I am. I couldn't get past that elephant. I kept trying to maneuver and see what was going on. And I mean, it was right there, and everybody was talking around it, but nobody actually talked to it. And I had a hard time, but that battle was good. Those demons and beasts were disgusting, and that was awesome. I loved the dream. Everything was great. It was great. I probably would have gone with a 7.5 at least. Malls. Because it was good, had some really good stuff going on. But that elephant, man, I needed something to help me transition from Old Swatch to Thorn. Like I want to be fully engaged in Thorn and in Ugo's backstory, and I can't move past Old Swatch without discussing that.
You just needed a few peanuts to get the elephant
I
out of the
needed
way.
something. I needed something to move it out of the way. I needed some kind of something, and they were almost there. They had so many times, and I just nobody wanted to talk about it.
Which
I
we're
did.
we're definitely going to dive into for sure. Grim, with that amazing peanut joke. Opening thoughts.
I certainly enjoyed this episode more than I have the past couple of episodes. I love the combat. The fight was awesome. I'm a bit of a combat junkie, and I fully admit that. So I was pleased. I thought there was a few spots of things that kind of were missed, or things that could have been touched on, or the group could have gotten into a little bit more. The elephant just kind of pretended it wasn't there. But I really loved the cliffhanger at the end, because that definitely had me thinking, what's happening next? So,
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. But overall, I enjoyed the episode as a whole.
Yeah.
Okay. Emily?
Yeah, I felt there needed to be a debrief. That's what I felt. I mean, that they just needed to talk something through, and they didn't.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the first time I'm hearing your thoughts like that. So I'm a little relieved that you feel the same way.
Yeah, it just seemed like, and maybe because Old Swatch was so hard on everyone that even the players just felt like they needed something more and wanted to move on from it. But it definitely felt lacking in that regard to me. And then, of course, the cliffhanger is what I really focused in on and thought about afterwards. Especially the way Jeff portrayed it was, this is not a good thing he's home, but why is Ugo happy to see her? Like, I get why he's happy, but he clearly knows why he left, unless he's forgetting or doesn't fully remember. And that also had me concerned. I was less into the battle, but I did like seeing everyone's new abilities and, getting Meep to get out there and do some new stuff.
Exciting. And for those of you who may be new to the Watch Party, one of the things that I try to do is I do try to get differing and varying opinions on here, because I think that the more diverse discussions and opinions we have, the better. And I enjoy when we kind of help each other see different perspectives and stuff. So I love that. The first thing I want to really dive into the episode, and I find it interesting, not too many people talked about this directly in the Discord or in the community, and that was, which was one of my favorite parts of the episode, was Civ going off on his own to turn Mr. Whispers into a snake, and kind of using his snake venom. And I think Jared Kajak does a lot of really good things when it comes to putting many layers on his character. And Civ is so, you can just follow what he's doing all the time, and I appreciate that as a viewer. Whether you agree with the steps he's taking or not, he shows why and how he got there, and I will never stop appreciating Jared for that. And I found it interesting, and Renee and I kind of talked about this a lot before, but I found it interesting that, one, he snuck away. I feel, going along with the elephant, I feel like there were so many times in this episode where Civ not only reached out for help, but there were signs, there were little nuggets that Civ/Jared left behind. I felt that were like, yeah, Civrak's here, but Civ is still in there. Like, there were signs that showed that he was still fighting and battling with himself, and I think sneaking off on his own was one of them. If he was just full on Civrak and he was just full on didn't care, why wouldn't he just done that in front of everybody?
He specifically said, I want to go far enough to where James can't see me.
Yeah.
Specifically, James can't see me.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because he was feeling guilty? I don't know, but specifically James. I want to go far enough to where James can't see me. I found that interesting also.
Yeah. Yeah, and just a layer of I'm sorry to do this to you. You know, he kind of talked to Mr. Whisper a little bit. And he was like, "But it's time for us to go in our true form." Like, I just thought that was really emotional. I thought it was really good, and it was a good job for. I loved how Civ really showed the impact of Oldwatch on him, and I thought that was a wonderful start. What did the other two of you think about that scene?
Yes. all the things you said, yes.
Grim, that's not a thing. Yes. Yes.
It's so a thing right now. It is. Really, it is.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know.
Yeah.
So you
I
just
mean-
you. Go on.
Oh, I was just going to jump in and say I was a little surprised that he left him in snake form. It seemed like very purposeful, but then like what can he other I mean, I guess he could do more of the milking of the snake, but it just seemed odd that he left Mr. Whispers as the snake. That's what kind of perplexed me about that moment.
I think he was kind of interrupted at the moment. You know, he was milking the snake, and then it was like demons. He heard the stuff in the woods, so it wasn't like he had like, okay, back into mouse form or whatever. You know, he was like, oh, we gotta go. You know,
I suppose, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know D&D in terms of what a snake can do, but I feel kind of like the milking of the snake and using the poison. I feel that was purely a character decision rather than like, how can this be useful for me? I think it was really how he was projecting with Mr. Whispers, right? This is who we are. This is who I am. Which is so sad. Poor Civ. I can't.
Listen, so about the elephant, can we just
address the elephant?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. All right. So we're at the campfire, okay? And even before, like, we're on the way and we're like, look at my cool new stuff I can do. Pew, 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 pew. Look at all this cool stuff. And we get to the campfire and here we are at several different conversations where they could have been like, yeah, man, that was really terrible. We really probably didn't do good things. Hey, Uggo, are you ready to be a leader? Because we're totally going to follow you because you live here. Or, like, you know? And I'm like, why did we just not listen to what Civ said? He said, Oldwatch is dangerous. I don't want to do this, this, and this. And we need to do this, this, and this. And what didn't you guys do? You know? Like, what?
Yeah.
Can we at least say we messed up? Let's do better for him. Let's.
And they said they were going to listen. Yeah.
Let's take responsibility and be like, we really messed up. We should do better. Sorry, we are sorry. But instead, they're like, Uggo, you're the one that's in charge, man. You're from here.
Yeah, and to
let's do the same thing again, like in a different city, like.
Right, and I think again, I mean it. I enjoyed every single conversation in this episode, but I think you're specifically referring to like the Fahima and Uggo conversation, where Fahima just stormed up to Uggo and she was like, "You're gonna be a leader. This is your decision," and that was a beautiful conversation.
Yes.
But yes, Renee, I hear you. It was like, it felt to me like this was the conclusion of a debriefing that they had. It was like, no. How did we get here? Yeah. They all experienced this together. It's not like everyone's in their own corner and they dealt with different things. It was a group experience. Yes, I know some people misunderstood me, I think, on the Discord when I said, like, Civ, hello, someone needs to comfort Civ. He's going through a lot. Like, you did this with him. I understand Civ is experiencing this on such a deeper level, but this was something they went through together. They failed Oldwatch together. I don't see a problem in addressing it. And that did feel like I said, we were missing a 0.5 prequel to this episode where it was like why not just apologize to Civ? I told Renee, I was like, if I was Civ, I think these are just the worst friends. Like, if someone didn't listen to me for 2 days straight and then walked up to Renee and said, all right, Renee, you're in charge. This is your hometown, right? I would just be like, Now I acknowledge Civ wasn't there, but it just really felt like they were, it didn't feel like a natural shift in demeanor. And Emily, I love how you said, Like I think the cast maybe needed that as well. I agree, but it was almost as if like there was no transition for me as a viewer. Like I loved that conversation, but how did we get here? Kind of. In my mind, I'm like, you always don't get to just pretend it didn't happen and then just be better people. Like, and I understand you're trying to grow, but I need something. Like, I want.
Yeah. And I was so Hadrian, I think it was Hadrian X that said like this was like level, I don't know, 27 Oathwatch, maybe they weren't ready for that. Well, maybe they weren't. And it's okay to make mistakes and fail. D&D is about failure and growth, and that's fine. It's but to grow and learn, and if it were, like it's a traumatic event, okay, and these are supposed to be heroes, right? So it's a traumatic event, it's a thing that happened, it's terrible. This whole town is like a hot mess in general, but now it's even more a hot mess because of what happened. So the thing that would be on my mind is we got to make it right, even if it's something small for Civ, because now the only people he knew in this town have now turned their backs on him. We have to make it right somehow, like we have to do something for this guy or somewhere. We have to start somewhere. We have to start small, and we have to start doing it. We have to start doing better to be these heroes or whatever, but now to me it's like, well, Oathwatch is out of sight, out of mind. We're out of there. I mean, it's not affecting us anymore. We have our powers, we have a bear, whatever.
Yeah, definitely emotional disconnect. And it's funny because here we are, we're talking about this episode, and it's like comes back to Oathwatch for this group, and it's like the party, the characters, and the actors, they just like moved on already.
I mean, I'm so invested that I need some kind of like, Civ, I'm sorry, I need somebody to grab him by the face because he's clearly having some kind of like, you said it too, like this mental shatter. Somebody to grab him. I think I've been watching like old episodes, right? So, Wiki will do that. Hi, kitty. So I've been watching old episodes, obviously, and Lily's done it on a couple of times as like grabbed him by the face and been like, we need you here, we're here for you. She's done that in the earlier episodes. Somebody needs to like figuratively grab him by the face and be like, we need you here, we need to be better for you, but we need to do this as a group. And nobody has done that. She had that conversation with him, but it was not like that. It was not like that at all. It was like a sidestep. I love you, unicorn.
Well, and in this episode that didn't happen.
I know,
yet,
but
so,
still.
Yeah,
I'm
that
there.
hasn't even happened.
But somebody needs to grab him by the face. Somebody needs to grab him by the face.
Well, and then James had a chance to do that when James asked Civ to sign his book, and Civ goes, which name? And James is just like, whatever name you want. Okay, thanks. And I'm like, that was the perfect opportunity to be like, hey, like you're going through stuff. We all are. Let's talk about it. And James is just like, okay, thanks. Like, whatever you want.
Because I know. I thought the same thing too. I put that in my notes too. I thought that was super interesting too. And I was like, he is clearly indicating to all of you that he's having his mental shatter, as Jess said last watch party. And nobody.
Yeah, and Grim, you hit it on the head. I think that was one of the things I saw, one of those nuggets that Jared gave in terms of that was him asking for help.
Yeah.
That was to James, help me. Like, I really thought that was a moment. And yeah, it seemed like James kind of just, okay, whatever you want, buddy. Like, it was just so dismissive, I felt.
Yeah, he seems to be avoiding it because that would have been a perfect in, and to argue, I would think, to say, no, we want Civ. Like, Civ wrecks a part of you, but you are now Civ. But he lets him sign. And he also talks about sign for splitting the party. So, like, he's already getting in that territory of, we keep splitting up. There's reasons that this happens, but he doesn't go further than that.
Mm-hmm. And even if James is like, oh, I don't like confrontation, this is a difficult conversation to have, he could have at least said, hey, go talk to Lily. She's good at this. Go talk to her. Or Fahima might have idea, like somebody, like, or hey, everybody, let's get together as a group because we're supposedly this party of adventurers, but they never get anything done together. It's always like side conversations one-on-one with somebody, and they never sit down as a group and are like, hey, this is affecting me. This is where I'm at. This is, these are my boundaries. Like nothing. It's all one-on-one conversations on the side.
They did with that halfling, the halfling fooling thing that one time.
One time.
One time.
One time.
Yeah, that was like,
Yeah.
Lily, look, this is not cool. These are my boundaries. It's not cool. I'm gonna do this thing with you because we're all here in this thing, but this is not cool. But that one time, yeah, they did. But that's it. That's really the only time that there's been like a definitive no.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that point, leading to which I will give James a tiny bit of credit, because even though it was, as you pointed out, completely on his own, he did go away by himself and start these nightmares. And that was James's way of internalizing and dealing with Olswatch, which, by the way, I loved every second of it. I thought it was very interesting that James took the compassionate approach. Like, it seemed like he was trying, when I say that, I mean he was trying to get some like compassion from the cheesemonger. Like, in his dream he said, I hope you don't regret this. Like, it took such a, like, he was trying to get the cheesemonger to feel bad, and I was like, yeah, don't think that's gonna work. And I loved it when he came back and he was just like, I do it again. I was like, oof, it was a spicy, it was spicy, the whole dream from start to finish. I loved every way Morgan described it. I love how Jeff leaned into it. Like we've talked about, does this party ever hold each other accountable and talk as a group and have boundaries? No. So in a healthy way, is this how James should handle it? No, but I'm low-key secretly loving every second of it.
Secretly, I also love it. I love it. Nobody knows he's doing it, so it's definitely on the down low. You know, they don't know he's doing that with all his time at night. You know, what's the warlock gonna do with all this free time? I don't know. So I mean, I very much love it. It feels like a very much James, like, out of control in Olswatch. You know, he wants to do all these things to do good, and everybody's like, no, we gotta leave, so he doesn't have that control. So he's like, okay, well, here's what I can control. And so then he does his little, this is my way, the one thing that I can control. And so he does. And I definitely love it. I definitely do.
James loves his control. He loves that power. He does. Emily, I do want your take on the dream. What was your kind of perspective on it?
I mean, I was really shocked when he did it, because I thought, really, the cheesemonger? But I guess if it's a potential way to vent or deal with his feelings, I get that. I mean, there are other people you could give nightmares to, I would think.
What was your original thought? Who were you originally thinking?
I mean, if you're going to do anyone, you're going to bug the Ashen Mage, right? But I don't know.
Oh, hey, going for the big bad.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do the cheesemonger, you might as well at least try, I guess. But I don't know enough D&D. Everything I know is from the dungeon run.
She's one of me, folks.
Yes. So I don't know if it's, possible to fight it or to, I don't know, right? So maybe there's a reason he's not doing that, or maybe this is just the most relevant thing and he's so upset by leaving Olswatch, and also how the cheesemonger has, just perpetuated the harm to the Lostrana. So maybe this is how he's reaching out. But it just seemed really odd to me, and I worry how evil James is getting. And I just feel like this is a step too far. I'm surprised that Jeff let it happen. So that makes me wonder, like, what is
with
James?
the guise of doing good?
But
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels so wrong. But then you're right, Fail. If I go to a team, I'm definitely team force of good. I just can't. I can't. But
who gets to decide what's evil and what's good? Like, if James is doing evil under the guise of good, is it really evil?
Ooh.
It's a good question, but
grim.
If I could give someone nightmares, I just don't think I could. So
it just makes me all over that if I could do that, but that's a different.
What is James' mentality? Fair enough. Yeah.
That's why I knew it. I knew you're a very kind-hearted person, and I think that's great. And I think in fantasy, yeah, we could do a lot of things, but No, I find that interesting, and I'm going to say it here just because there has no one been pitching that Morgan is, or not Morgan, James is more evil than Sean. And Sean, I don't necessarily agree with you just yet, but if James turns evil, I will tip my hat to you. I really will. And he's definitely heading that direction. Again, not complaining personally. I think it's great. But it's to me, I think it's strictly revenge. I think this party enjoys fixating. They
I
don't
think
really,
it's a slippery slope for James. I mean,
yeah,
honestly. I mean, he's out of control, to be honest. He can't control his sleep. He can't control a lot of things. And I think that's one
yeah,
realm he's controlling right now. So
yeah,
he's
and then I
grasping.
think 100%. And I think the only reason I'm not ready to step into that, "Ooh, yeah, James, he's getting evil" line just yet is because, like I said in the last watch party, Civ, which again we discussed a lot of frustration about how them being terrible friends and ignoring him, he's voicing his pain outward. James isn't pain. I
Yeah.
really think James comes from a good heart, and this is him being in pain, dealing with it alone in himself. And again, not the right way. And I think he's heading in that direction. But for me, I don't see it just yet. I think if, like Civ, if he goes unchecked, unspoken to, untalked to, he may get there. I do agree with that. But I really think this is coming from a source of pain and not knowing how to healthily deal with it. And it's not like anyone's really helping each other out on that.
Well, if they had
That's what
that
I believe.
talk, the group talk, like Grim mentioned before, perhaps we could get it all out.
The point 0.5 episode we missed. Okay, so I do want to move on to the next episode in a minute, but I do kind of want your thoughts, your closing thoughts for this episode. For me, again, I cannot not talk about the battle. It was one of my favorites. I love it because I'm like you. I have very little D&D knowledge. I come from a very story perspective. The story is where I'm at. The story is my focus, and I really loved how they put the battle and the storyline together. The demons have been a huge problem in Ein for a while. I thought they were pretty badass. I thought the fact that everything, even in their mechanics, it just seemed so natural to the story, being able to touch them and getting diseased. One of the demons just totally being all over the place, attacking someone, leaving, attacking someone. It felt so organic and so like, ooh, this is really like what a random encounter would look like. And I loved every second of it. I really did. I thought I think Fahima confused me a little bit in this battle because she just, I was a little thrown off because at the end of all spots, she was like, I learned my lesson. I kind of, not her words, but it seemed like she was like, I'm not going to be so impulsive and in the battle. And then, and this one, she kind of seemed hungry to be in everything. So that confused me a little bit. But she was on fire. I mean, I thought the whole party really did well in that battle. I thought the demons were awesome. I really enjoyed it. And then, of course, I agree with everyone here. We seem to be unanimous that I feel this is one of the top 3 greatest cliffhangers the show has had.
Oh, yeah.
Just the amount of just speculation and thoughts and just how beautifully Jeff delivered it. One of the best cliffhangers. So yeah, this was a solid 7. I think, like I said, it wasn't the episode. I just feel I missed an episode in between this, but it was really good on its own. It was really awesome. Best, really strong ending. Closing thoughts.
Go, Grim.
All right. So, yeah, I've always been open about this. I'm not a huge fan of role playing in general. They tend to be my least favorite episodes, but I think in this case it was severely needed. At least a chunk of time just to like unpack the last months of real time in Olsbach, just to unpack things that happened. And so even though I'm not a huge fan of role playing, I understand it's a necessary part of the storytelling and that it is a show. And I just think that they would have done well to have some sort of closing of Olsbach and moving on instead of just like, we're going to pretend that never happened. Like, and then literally just walk away like nothing happened and then pretend. But and thoughts. The battle was amazing. Jeff always does a really good job of making the battles in general fit in the story. It never really feels like, oh, we haven't had a battle in a long time, so this tree randomly jumps out of nowhere and attacks you, and you're just like, what? Like Jeff always does really good at fitting the battles in with the story. So I love that, and I'm all about the battles. James, his dream, I loved it every second. Everybody's talking about James turning evil and being worried about that, and I'm giving Fahima some side eye on that. But
I know, right? I know. Definite side eye.
And the cliffhanger was amazing, as always. Jeff is like the master of cliffhangers.
Amen to that. What a well done final thoughts. Emily, your turn. Final thoughts on the episode.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they're missed a debrief. Although, to be fair, all these episodes they keep running on to whatever's next, and they seem to just keep getting propelled forward. So even though I don't know if it was absolutely intentional or if it was just the way they've been living, right? This kind of avoidance and on to the next thing. So I kind of got a little bit of that vibe. But overall, I loved seeing the different abilities when they were talking about them to each other. It was fun to reveal them, and that was very exciting. Seeing them in battle a bit. And then, yes, you're all right, the cliffhanger was fabulous, especially because I felt it was a big twist. And the fact that Jeff gave just enough for everyone to sit and think about for the next week, and present it in a way that wasn't expected. It wasn't the big run up and hug someone. It wasn't you part the leaves and then he sees her and it's over. It was more meaty than that, and so it was a very fascinating cliffhanger for sure.
Love it. Renee, I think.
Renee, obviously I agree with the side eye to Fahima for sure.
I love that.
I definitely agree. I love the dreams. I notice Civ, even if nobody else does. I see you, buddy.
I see you, friend.
I do see you. I see it. They, as a group, are not gonna be heroes until they acknowledge their decisions, good and bad, and they accept the consequences, good and bad, and then talk about them. I mean, it's just not gonna happen. They're just gonna be individuals going on together, moving on to the next thing. And I agree, Emily, maybe that is the way they've been living. But if you can spend, I don't know, 5 days planning on how to button your overalls, you can spend a second talking about what just happened in that city where you button your overalls. Also, on the reveal, I loved Uggo/Ron's face when he realized Jeff was describing Human Mama. It was the cutest, and I freaking loved it. So, winning.
Wonderful. I love it. Y'all are amazing. I love you guys. So then the next episode, transitioning, what happened to the debrief, whatever, cliffhanger, we still ended amazingly. And to the new episode, the next one, opening thoughts. I love Human Mama. Jeff Kanata is just continuing to show he is bartastically talented, and his ability to bring a character to life so quickly, so fast. I was genuinely already emotionally attached to Human Mama by the end of this episode. I think she's so refreshing. I loved learning about druids in this world and their kind of take on it. I loved the neutrality of it all, even though that within the party was questioned a little bit. Seeing Uggo, Ron gets the MVP for that episode for sure, really laying it out there. He also did really well. And I thoroughly, this episode was all role play, but it was all character development. It was all needed. There were a few things that we're going to hopefully talk about that I thought could have been stronger, but this episode was really awesome, and I enjoyed it. I still felt a little bit remains from the elephant in the room, but it wasn't as strong because, like Emily pointed out, they did kind of move forward. This is a separate topic, and I was able to get into this episode a little more, mostly because the roleplay was just that dang strong. I give this episode a solid 8 out of 10 malls. It was really, really good. And again, we're getting there. We're getting there. Emily, open thoughts.
Oh man, this has been my hands down favorite episode ever.
Oh.
And I think everyone was really strong with their characters, and Jeff was just beyond incredible. Like, he's usually good and excellent, but it was so fun to watch him play the NPCs, and not just Human Mama, but additional ones too. So as the episode kept going on, I was just like super pumped and just loved it for those aspects. So that was definitely that is definitely my big takeaway. As much as what happened, it was really that role playing that just I really, really love that, especially when people are so invested in their characters and are so versatile with any TV shows or movies. That's always my favorite, when people really get into it and just transform based on, voice and body alone. You can do so much, and they all really do it, but in particular, Jeff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You and I had the same type of reaction. We started talking, and then we both kind of stopped for a second because of just the pure, amazingness of the episode. Like, so much happened, and it was like, had to catch up in my brain. We had the same moment there. Grim.
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode as well. Certainly, role play heavy, but I still enjoyed it because it didn't feel like it was going in circles for me, which is a problem I have with role-playing episodes. Is a lot of time they just feel like they're going nowhere, but this one didn't feel like that, and so I really enjoyed how it felt like it was continuing moving with everything going on. And I love Human Mama. Like, she's just, I wish I had a human mama like that. Like,
I
know. Love it.
Yes.
You too, Renee.
Yes, me too. Good, because I also, in addition, love this episode. You probably know, I am a lore monger, okay? I love lore, all right? I have no problem with roleplay episodes. I don't like when they feel like they're going around in circles either, but this one did not. And I loved all the lore goodness that came from this one, how much we learned about, just so much in this episode from Human Mama. And Jeff, again, here we go, barfing about his amazingness. Because we have literally heard about this woman forever, obscurely here and there, right? And in one episode, all of us are like, I want a human mama too. Can I please have one? And she is fabulous in demeanor, in personality. And this is the first time in 80 episodes druids have appeared, and I'm like, I know about druids because D&D, but I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. I want all of this. I was just like, I could not believe. I was just floored. And I definitely, with the Ugo, hands down MVP, yes, because here's my one, aside from this being his backstory, my one, if I only had to choose one reason, the only one to apologize to Civ, but not only to apologize, to specifically state, I am sorry for not listening to you.
Yes.
Period.
Yes,
MVP, hands down, Ugo Rage Fist.
Yep, that was a huge moment for me as well. I loved, to piggyback off of what you and Emily both said too, exactly, when he started off, and I said this last watch party, I knew Ugo was going to take charge. I was like, yeah, you don't listen to Ugo and see what happens. Yeah. And when Civ started kind of that rebellious train, first thing Ugo said was, we're going to talk. And Civ said no, which, by the way, I was like, ooh, which I loved, because why should he talk to any of you? Now just that you need or want something, now we're going to address you? No. But he said no, and Ugo called him a coward. He reacted emotionally, but then later to really reel it in and be like, you know what? Hey, man, you're right. No, I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. Like, instead of really holding that anger, he was like, no, I see what's going on here, and I am sorry. And we're waiting so long for any type of acknowledgement. And again, in Civ's direction specifically, not just talking about Oswatch, it was beautiful. I think I literally jumped out of my chair.
I wrote it down.
I was so excited.
For not listening, specifically.
Yeah. Yes, our note.
Brilliant. I thought it was a huge move, and I thought it was brilliant. And then I thought to myself, what's the difference between Uggo and Civ in this moment in their own like hometowns? I mean, Civ told them these things, but to me, Civ's like defense mechanism is like to slink back in the shadows. Like he is a take a step back and like he like retracts. He's not really like Uggo is like bold and brash, and Civ kind of retracts from things. He's kind of non-confrontational, so to speak, ish. Like he's a rogue, right? So he like slinks. And so I mean, like, to me that was the difference. I'm not saying there's any excusing that, because they still should have listened in Old Swatch, but I mean, for Uggo to say no, we're gonna talk, and like and speak with a certain demeanor, where Civ was just more like, no, we're gonna
You did what? Oh,
no.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciated how he did that too. But just to kind of reel it back into the beginning of the episode real quick, as far as Human Mama, the story, it is so sad and sweet all at the same time.
Yeah.
To find out that, essentially Uggo is a science experiment, but it's so clear, and Jeff just shows it on his face. That moment where Uggo brought out the Orctionary and she cried. The moment where even as she talks to him, like, no, you're a science experiment. Basically saying that the emotion he's exhibiting, it's one of those beautiful things where her words say one thing and her face says another, and it's so wonderful. And I find it also in the same boat sad and so lovely at the same time how Uggo just doesn't fully get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't get it.
That's his like childlike, almost like mind, like he's like not like, he's not smart because he's smart, he gets it, but I think he does not like, he's childlike in mind in some ways.
And for me, I wondered, how much does he really remember?
That too.
Mm-hmm.
What has he either not, he didn't make the memory at the time because it was so overwhelming and he just was, rushing to get out, or however the escape happened in his time there, and how much is he repressing that'll like slowly come out? I think that was definitely going through my mind as well, because of course he's happy to be home. It's the homecoming. He's seeing Human Mama, but she's definitely got that wall she tries to put up, even though she clearly cares about him. And that's exciting, especially when everyone else left the room and they have that private conversation. Mm-hmm. And then she does hug him. And it was one of those, in the presence of absolutely no one, she still really didn't want to, but she couldn't help herself, it seemed like. And that was really lovely. But I just wonder how much of him really remembers or is avoiding remembering.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that's I think you really hit that, because I know Ron is taking a lot of, I know he incorporated a lot of like how trauma works into it intentionally, and that is the question: how much is the trauma preventing him from remembering, to him subconsciously avoiding remembering, and it's like, but you could tell he was a child on Christmas, and she was giving it to him in a way. It was just wonderful. I don't know how else to say it. It
really was.
Grim, do you have any other, because you're the only one that didn't really comment on it yet, any other thoughts about their relationship or anything? Because besides it's amazing, I don't have anything else, but I do want to talk about something else as well.
The only thing that I would say is it's such a tragic story of like the scientist who is supposed to be this impartial, experiment and don't get involved. And then here comes Uggo, and Human Mama commits the ultimate mistake of caring for her experiment, which, as awful as that sounds and as terrible as that is, like, that gave us Uggo. And I feel like that explains so much about Uggo.
It really does.
Who has like all this rage, but then he doesn't, and he's caring, and now he's trying to change. And I think that just explains so much about him. Like, he's this way, but he shouldn't be this way. And I enjoyed it.
It's just wonderful. That's really all the words, I think, cohesively. Again, I like opposing views, but like, how do we all not agree that that was just wonderful from
It
start
really
to finish?
was.
I do want to start. I do want to bring up, which I thought, again, solid, amazing episode. I want to touch on what I thought still good, but was one of the more weaker parts of the episode for me, which was the conversation between Siv and Lily.
Thank you.
So happy that it happened. Again, I think a lot of us are kind of like foaming at the mouth for any type of acknowledgement of Allswatch. We've said that 1,000 times. So I was happy that happened. However, and it's just, this is my thoughts. I really felt it was very surface level. I felt it was very I don't. It didn't feel like Lily went through Ulswatch. That's my take. It felt like she was, oh man, my friend told me they went through something really bad. What kind of what kind of cliche can I say? You'll be all right. It just felt very. What can I just randomly say with? It didn't seem like it for me. It came from the heart. It just seemed like Sid needs help. I'm gonna say this. It didn't feel like Lily was like, again, kind of the accountability. I would have liked to just see a little more like, hey, you know how I know this isn't your fault? Because it's my fault too, or we all did this, or just some kind of, I was there and I'm here with you and I know it wasn't your fault. I mean, it's just, there was missing all of that for me. It was just so, did you know that you're Civ and you I know the best Civ and you're just, it just felt so surface level, and so I was left wanting more. And I'm not gonna lie, I think the fact that Civ was just like, great, this is working, this is awesome, it just didn't feel as genuine to me. It just felt like in the same boat. This is my girlfriend, she's saying awesome stuff and I'm just gonna go with it, and it, you know, whether it's helpful or not. Strong take, I know, but it was still really well. Their relationship is very cute, and I liked some of the jokes in it, and I really appreciated the conversation. It just, as like I said, for a very strong episode, it just overall felt flat. It wasn't as strong as the rest of the role play in the episode, in my opinion. And I actually want Emily to go first, just in case we run out of time. I want your thoughts on everything first.
You know, I don't have much to say about Civ and Lily because I'm just not bought in, and I still don't feel like Lily is there yet. I think she's still kind of, you know, waffling. And so I think that really was surface level, and you know, it's too bad. I did want to see more, and we've seen more from Lily, and she can be that kind of, not really mother figure, but she can kind of sometimes corral things and make her agenda, and seems more willing to deal with hard topics, and it just didn't go there, and yeah, it was a little flat for me.
Oh, I'm
Still
surprised.
interesting, but
Wow, I'm surprised. I didn't know you were gonna agree with me. So, what do you mean by you think Lily's waffling? Like, what do you mean by that?
every time they have romantic moments, I don't feel that she's really into it all that much, you know? And he'll say, like, I kiss you. And she has never said, like, from what I remember, like, I kiss you back, or I lean into you, or, you know, it just, they don't seem to have, and maybe it's not a cuddly romantic thing, and maybe, I think Lily has dated before, right, on Bengal, so maybe it's been, like, too many flings, and she just doesn't really want or see herself with anything more significant or know how to do it, but I don't know, it just never has really, and maybe that's part of what's going on, is that tension for Lily. So maybe there's more that we're not seeing below the surface, but
Ooh, maybe. Yeah. Maybe. Okay. Grim.
So I have a really short attention span sometimes. Surprise, right? And I honestly can't tell you what they talked about in that conversation. And I tried to rewatch it, but it didn't hold my attention, that whole conversation. And to piggyback, like, Civ and Lily in general, like, I don't understand them as a couple. And it's not, like, it's cute, and I love that Civ is like, oh, Lily, you're helping me be a better person, and that's adorable, and I love it. But Lily just doesn't seem to care one way or the other a lot of the time. Like, it's just, she's just like, oh, yeah, that's Civ, he likes me. Like, but if I remember correctly, I know Lily had talked about she had she didn't say it was her, but it was kind of implied that back in Bingle, she saw, oh, they were in love, and then the guy ran away and the girl was heartbroken or whatever, like this, stereotypical story. And it was kind of implied that it could have been her that was heartbroken, which I get makes sense why she would be hesitant to be in a relationship, especially saving the world of Ein. Like, not an ideal time for a relationship to start, but she also hasn't made it clear, like, no, like, I don't want a relationship with you. She's just kind of like, sure, Civ, if it helps you feel better, then you can think I'm pretty. Like, like, to me, the whole relationship doesn't make sense to me, but I'm not going to knock it. Other people seem to really be into it and love it. So good on you and enjoy it. And I hope it works out for them. But I'm not getting what's so special about it. Like, I don't.
All right, Renee, you're in.
Tag. So this conversation to me was also very surface, and it was, to me, very sad. It was very sad. It was like obviously that guy needs help. I'm gonna try and talk to him. Some words, and then he does what he does best, sidestep. I love you, unicorns, puppies, kittens. And then she goes, oh yeah, I love all those things. Everything's all so much better. And then that's the end of the conversation, because he knows what buttons to push to get her to talk about something else. He's very good with words, obviously. And so sidestep, to sidestep a conversation for him, no problem. So he doesn't have to talk about hard things. He can say orphanage children, done. Conversation over, so he doesn't have to. So really, no conversation occurred, according to me.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but it is true. He started playing, not dumb, but he was like, "What are you talking about?" Like,
he's not dumb. He's very smart, and he's been reading her poetry for ever. He knows what to say. He knows.
Yeah.
So say these words, and she will stop talking about whatever that is, and talk about this other thing. Sidestep, avoidance. Civ Red Thistle.
Wow, I'm not gonna lie. I'm shocked everyone agrees that it was surface level. I was like, I was gonna be me and maybe Renee, and that was about it. So, and it was still. I think Lily has stated on the show that she loves Civ back. I think that has been stated, but
she has.
Yeah, she has, but I can see your guys' points in terms of. Why is it there? And I think I didn't really catch that avoidance thing, but you're so right, Renee. That makes more sense to me, because I was like, yeah, cool, like that worked. That surface level interaction worked for you. But you're right. I think maybe it's easy to justify it when it's like, no, he intentionally avoided it. Surface level conversation.
Oh, I'm sure he
mission
did.
Accomplished.
Yeah.
I do want to turn to you, Emily. I swear I'm being mindful of your time. Anything else that you specifically felt passionately about this episode? Anything else you wanted to address? Your closing thoughts? I kind of wanted to give you that floor.
Was this the one with Shathragat?
We can't really talk about that part of the conversation without accidentally getting into it. But the dream, the Shothragat thing was wonderful. I always enjoy when Shothragat is on scene. I really love that storyline. Shothragat is my homeboy for sure. What else are your closing thoughts for this episode? What do you got?
I mean, I'm still just really kind of floored at everyone's performances and how invested everyone's into the characters. You guys are right. I think Jeff clearly outshone everyone for me, but you're right. Ugo and Ron did a fantastic job this episode. So many emotions, and the depth that he went with Ugo felt really great. That's the big standout for me, is just how wonderful the characters are, but how much the actors really care about them as well and portray them just to the fullest extent. I mean, it really does feel like an extension of themselves and not just something they they put on and play and then they set aside. I mean, clearly everyone jumps on in the Discord with the community and will chat as well. So they're clearly invested, and that is just so delightful. And that's, partly why it's my favorite episode. So definitely enjoyed this one.
Oh, yay. And yeah, I think that their dynamic was wonderful. It really was. Renee, final thoughts?
Okay, so I had a final thought on the episode previous, and I just want to say this first. I don't mind the snow song. I don't. I just thought the timing was not right. That's all. I thought the Oath of the Family was beautiful, and when she said timing wrong, I shouldn't sing it. Probably should have left it there. But I like the song in general. Totally fine. No problem with the song by itself. Okay, now closing thoughts on this one. Human Mama is brilliant. I also obviously am very invested in this story. To me, it's not just a game. A game is part of it, but also it is very much a story. And I very much love the entirety of this story. So for it to be just a game is not a thing. For anybody that needs to know, it's not a thing. I am more than 10 to 20% invested in this story. And so, do people make mistakes? Do I think I could do better? No. I don't think that I would make a better choice if I were sitting in the seat at that time. Hindsight is always 20/20 anyway. But I mean, come on. Poor Vlad. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I love it. Before I comment on that, Grim, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Jeff could make the phone book sound fun as heck. So this episode,
listen.
right? He could just read it and it'd be amazing entertainment. But Human Mama, love her. Love her. We all need some more Human Mama in our life. Anytime Mr. S. Shathriat shows up without talking about anything specific, it's going to be a good time. Yeah, and then Uggo, definitely MVP. Ron did amazing with him. Uggo's always been one of my favorites anyhow, but then to see this episode, like, Ron was in the zone. Like, he nailed it. It felt authentic. Like, everything that he did, it felt like Uggo really would be saying 100%. And going through in the moment, dealing with what he was dealing with. So overall, good episode.
So to kind of comment on what Renee threw there so wonderfully. So we were talking...
Closing thoughts.
Yeah. What a bomb. We were talking about how so as we've talked about in several watch parties and on the Discord, a lot of people cared about Vlad. A lot of people cared about the party of Ulswatch. And I think I took a step back and was kind of like, okay, a part of me feels like this is that balance between a D&D game versus the D&D story. And I think maybe that might be some of the issue. And I think I feel like the characters I think there were parts where they very much took it as, yeah, but it's D&D and it's fine. And I think, well, the rest of us are like, but what happens next? They're kind of like, no, we've moved on. No, like, we kill bad guys, we move on. While we're like, were they really bad guys? We're like diving into the moral gray, and they're like, no, we're the heroes, we moved on. So to kind of second that, I think that whether the cast or the characters agreed or not, a lot of this was attached to Vlad. I think that he showed enough human parts of him where just getting him killed and not addressing it and not taking ownership for Blostrana getting beat in the streets, just really, we just aren't going to get over it. So, and they're past it. We're not. So I thought we could have a funeral together today for the people of Ulswatch and for us as fans, because I don't think we're going to get it, Renee.
No, I don't. I need closure to move on and be fully in it.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you guys wanted to join me in somehow joining together and trying to have us do our own healing of Ulswatch Party. I know you have to go, Emily. I swear, I'm being mindful.
I know you're concerned for Ein. Ulswatch is in Ein. Emily, let's be
very concerned all the time, especially for Ulswatch and how they left it.
I know.
gathered here today to start our healing process as fans for the people of Los Strana who got the short end of the stick. We're here today to celebrate Vlad's life. We're here today to celebrate those who did suffer because of the Party of Bingle. We're here to say, Oldwatch, we see you, we hear you. Vlad, I don't think that you were a willing participant in a supervillain contest. I don't. I think you were a kind man, and thank you for everyone who wants to celebrate his life with me. Okay, everybody take a hand. Here we go. It's like you. To Oldwatch, may you somehow get better. Any final words?
For what the Party of Bengal did and did not do and did not say.
I just wanted to say, for the people of Oldwatch, we're sorry that we couldn't be there for you and be there with you. May the Cano Queen guide you and bless you all the same.
For Oldwatch. Oh gosh.
I'm quite sure he's better dead. Ooh, la, 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 la. Maybe we just got
Thank you everybody for joining us in today's watch party. I really love these people. I love you guys. I love this community. I love this show. Yes, there is going to be, even though there's a 2-shot, there will be another watch party to talk about the next episode where we get to see Baraka and Thorn. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for joining me. You guys are lovely. Thank you. And as always, humankind.
Be
bold.
Die to die. They all died, died, died to die, died to die. They all died, 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 died. In the clearing stands a warden, but we'll walk right by his face till we try to save some others. For no apparent reason, said we wanted to. We don't mind some killing, as long as we decide who can stay and who can go now. We don't believe anyone else is qualified for this choice. We believe we're so superior, no one else ever gets a voice. Die to die. They all died, died, died to die, died to die. They all died, 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 died. They all died, 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 died.